Lake Hits, Stock 103.9. It's the Automotive Show, the Auto Show with Chip Lyness, Louie Herron from Louie Herron Toyota. All right, Louie, we're talking negative equity.
Yeah, nasty words. Nasty words. It's a disease you want to avoid when you get your next car. So you got to know how to avoid this stuff. You got to know how to, we're going to go through kind of what is it, who has it, how do you catch this negative equity, and what do you need to do to avoid making sure you don't make that mistake. In some cases, it's very challenging depending on your situation, your driving patterns, and we'll get into that on how that may affect you as well. Let's talk real quick about some of this information that may be available to those that are driving. Honda recalls 748,000 Pilots Odysseys for an airbag risk. Now, the first thing I want to say when we put this out there, again, this information is readily available, and you, the consumer, need to get it handled. And for dealers that own a Honda dealership, trust me, they get paid from the manufacturer to do recalls. So they're there to help you. They're not there. They're not upset. They're there to help you. So if you qualify for one of these, it's very important. So let's talk about that real quick. The recall covers 2009 to 2013 model year Pilots and 2011 to 13 Odysseys. The recall basically has to do with the side airbag. It just needs to be replaced if it's defective. And apparently the driver's side airbag, some of them are assembled without the rivets that go on the side. So basically it could keep it from deploying. So it's something you definitely want to make sure you get handled. Dealers should be prepared and ready to go to handle that. And here's how you do it. You want to either go to www.recalls.honda.com and put in your VIN number, or you can call 1-800-999-1009. Select option 4. That is for the Honda airbag. So you want to make sure you take care of that. Very, very important. And I think Honda makes a great product. In fact, Chip, you've owned a Honda, haven't you?
I have owned a Honda. Great little car.
Yeah. So don't get discouraged. Sometimes, as we all know, we every manufacturer's experienced some recalls. It's not the end of the world, but you want to make sure that you're getting that handled. And then the other thing, too, if you're driving a Hyundai or Kia, again, just so you may not know this, but they've got, and I don't work at a Hyundai Kia store, so I'm just getting some of the information that's given to me. They've put together a program, and almost anything they need to do as it relates to helping customers with goodwill. In some cases, they're giving a little credit card program, handling gasoline for consumers as long as they own the vehicle. And basically, Hyundai and Kia are giving dealers cash to help pay for any kind of freebies or other Goodwill-related issues that may happen. And again, when Toyota had a recall, it's very normal that again, what they're concerned with is making sure that their brand loyalty doesn't default. And basically, 13 of their products from 2011 to 2013, accounting for 900,000 vehicles, they basically estimated fuel economy that was high. So if it's an example of saying it gets 40 miles to the gallon, it really got 32. So again, if you have a Hyundai or Kia, you may want to contact and reach out. If you haven't received anything in the mail, you probably already have. But again, there could be some compensation there for you that you may want to take advantage of. So just a couple of information out there. Again, you probably wouldn't know unless somebody told you. So it's available for you to go inspect and find out. So real quick, let's talk about this before we get to a break here as it relates to negative equity. Chip, let's talk about it. What is that negative equity? What we've talked about this a long time ago. Yeah. Talk to me.
I think that's when you get upside down in your car, right?
That's the quickest way to understand what that is. Absolutely. It's important to know who has negative equity. Over 90% of anyone who owns a vehicle who's got it financed has negative equity. So this is something that's, yeah. So remember, this is not something that's not normal. I mean, people go through this all the time. The key is when you buy your next car, what are the things you need to do to avoid it? Make sure you don't get infected with this disease of negative equity. But what Chip said is exactly right. Negative equity is basically what you owe versus the value of your car. Nothing more, nothing less. What you owe versus what the value of your car is worth. We talk about gap insurance, and the reason why I like gap insurance so much, and most lenders love gap insurance for their protection, is because for this negative equity reason. Here's what happens. You hit a deer. We've talked about this before, Chip. You hit a deer or you have a total loss, and State Farm gives you $10,000 for the car. They're going to give you fair market value. $10,000 for your car. Your car's total. They've given you $10,000. You go and you find out, and you call and get your payoff and realize you owe $14,300. Yep. There's a gap of $4,300, of which you have to come up with on a car that is now totaled.
And you don't have a car.
You don't have a car. Yeah. So not to plug Gap Insurance, and again, Gap Insurance is offered by credit unions, banks, dealerships. It's a reputable product. The point of illustrating with that is just to let you know that this is how negative equity happens. And I illustrate that because when you go to a car dealership, they're going to give you wholesale value. They're going to give you insurance company value. They're going to give you lease maturity value. They're going to give you auction report value. You're not going to be able to get retail value on your trade-in. Okay, and so when you realize that, and I think most people listening know that, yeah, I know I never get nothing for my car. Well, what you actually get is fair market value because the dealers want to take that vehicle, clean it up, service it, spend some money, and then they want to sell it retail. So if they give every consumer retail value, then they take it in, then they service it, then they clean it up. Now they have over retail value in the car, and then they have to try to sell it to somebody else for over retail, and that somebody else, whoever it may be, always comes in negotiating as much as they can. So you could just see how that picture's painted. It's not fruitful for the dealer. So that's something to consider when you're talking about negative equity and how you actually come up with the negative equity. So we're going to go to a break, and when we come back from the break, we understand how you get negative equity. We understand it's what you owe versus what the value of your car is. We understand that when you trade your vehicle in, you're not going to get retail. We understand that 90% of the owners who finance their vehicle have negative equity. So stay with us because when we come back, we are going to give you the 7 tips on how to avoid this sickness.
All right.
All right?
Very good, Louie.
Let's do it.
It is the Automotive Show. Chip Lyness, Louie Herron from Louie Herron Toyota. Catch it every week at this time. We've got more of your favorites on the way next. And more of the Auto Show with Chip and Louie coming up. Stay with us, Stock 103.9.